Up in real on my lane. Yo, what up? Show's gonna be quick as shit today, guys. You know why. Oh, someone's caught. One thing that happens to you a lot when you're a streamer and you don't have like a full studio or whatever is cords get caught on other cords all the time. So that's my situation right now. What are we doing? Oh, TV remotes in frame. Don't know what. I love how there's a whole portion of my desk that's slightly to the right, like over where this hand is at, over there. There's like a whole portion of my desk that you can't see that has my ring light, and it also has things that I drink while I'm off screen. So now I have a green room for things that I want to bring on the show. So the part of my desk that's slightly to the right. Joe Burrow has officially showed up for the Super Bowl, and he's rocked out in a full-on striped suit, gray and like charcoal gray and black striped suit, and everybody's losing their shit on the internet. My question is like, he's not like ridiculously swaggy, right? Like, he's not extra swaggy. It's just people like find winning sexy. So now like a person who, from what I understood beforehand, was already physically attractive, right? Now he's even sexier because he's out here getting these dubs. Let that be a life lesson, kids. There we go. Yeah. I love this setup like so much more. I feel like it's way more open, and it feels more like a set. And I actually didn't have to do, I don't know why it took so long to do this, but now it looks more natural when I'm like talking into my camera, because my camera and my monitor are in the same spot. So that's dope. Yeah. I was looking up injury stuff, and Seabass, aka Sebastian Joseph Day, who god damn it, I need to add to the injury sheet. I don't know why it's not on there. I tried to write like a breakdown of this game and how I'm calculating how I'm picking who to win, and then I realized like I can just speak it off the top of my head, because it's basically been the same thing. Oh, hold on, let me change the ticker to the only game that is available today. Anybody got suggestions on how to make the ticker look more professional? Because I've been looking at how ESPN does theirs, and I've been thinking about just like blatantly copying that and then like kind of modifying the colors, because the lime green color is not great for the eyes, but worse things have been thought of and used on this show as a way to make it happen. Cincinnati Bengals. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, everybody. Cincinnati. How did I spell it wrong? By the way, happy Super Sunday, everybody. Oh, there's two N's. I didn't put two N's in both spots. By the way, shout out to the people who struggle with spelling Los Angeles and Cincinnati. It's been a tough 2 weeks. Really, it's been a tough playoffs. Let's be for real. Put the two N's in the wrong spot. Even though, like, sometimes I know how to spell it and other times I don't, which is the funniest thing. Wow, that doesn't look correct, but it is. Yeah, it is. It just looks weird with the way this thing is formatted. Anyway, I don't know why the ticker just moved way out of position for no reason whatsoever. Love it. Do need to do this. There we go. Sorry, opening all the streaming services so we can see things. Live chat. Oh, not gonna lie, guys, the show almost just went off air because I almost dropped some Mountain Dew Rise all over my PC. and not in the sexy way. I'll leave you to determine what the sexy way is to drop Mountain Dew Rise on your PC that you spend over $3,000 on. I bought way too much shit for a person who doesn't have a lot of talent. So, fun times. Anyway, notice I said a lot of talent instead of no talent. Improving, guys. The self-deprecation is improving. One day a lot of people will watch this show. I believe that. I feel like I do a better job than a lot of people who are on the internet. I don't know why I'm mumbling like that. Key. God damn it. Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. Was looking for, that thing, the social media thing, which is why we do this part of the show, where I just kind of have the show running in case the people who get notifications to their phone want to hop in and live chat or whatever. Since it is Super Bowl Sunday, a lot of people may want to. Who knows? If you are in the chat, tell me what you've been drinking today on a Super Bowl Sunday. Ooh, live on a Super Bowl Sunday. Also, shout out to everybody who's already watched the latest exit interview, which features John Sheeran of the Cincy Jungle. Oh, also shout out to our latest YouTube subscriber. We have gotten 4 YouTube subscribers in the last 2 weeks. Kind of a big deal. Just putting it out there. Get on the train while you can. I'm kidding. Kidding. Don't get on the train. You're not a bandwagoner yet. When we get to, like 2-3 million, you know what I mean? And then this is like, if we get to like 2-3 million, when we get to 2 to 3 million subscribers, and then all of a sudden, a lot of people starting to pop up here or there. Then we start talking about a bandwagon, right? One of the strongest in the game at that point. In my mind, that's probably what it will be. So, NFL live stream. Lion Sisters is not. Oh my god. You guys ever done hashtags and you'll see the hashtag you want, but you also at the same time typed another letter that changed what the top hashtag was, even though the top hashtag is still I was typing live and it jumped. I put LI and then I put V and it went to Lion Sisters for some reason. It was very strange. Live Twitch. NFL playoffs, the Super Bowl. They can't sue me because I don't have anything to be sued for. I think I owe people money, as a matter of fact. So, yeah. Unless unless the NFL wants to sue me for my debt, they can totally do that, and I will admit to whatever the crime is when you say the Super Bowl. When you say the word Super Bowl into the chat, whatever that crime is, I did it. If the NFL's gonna take on my debt, NFL, no. Come on now. What else are we talking about on the show? We're talking a little basketball, a little bit, just a tad bit. So, oh yeah, shout out to Natasha Cloud. Not surprised whatsoever. She took off an entire year from playing basketball professionally to focus on community initiatives, and she actually is a iconic face athlete for Converse. She's one of their first big time athletes that plays basketball as they try and work their way back into the basketball realm, kind of deal. Really wonder how that's going, numbers wise for them, because you never know. Who cares? Who knows, really? What was I going to say? Anyway, she got the first triple-double in Athletes Unlimited, that league I was telling you guys about a couple weeks or last week, actually. So, They've started their basketball league. If you, I'm pretty sure it's on like basic cable. So if you are one of those people who has like cable and stuff like that, or I'm sure you can watch it online. They have a YouTube channel. I'm sure you can watch it there. They want as many people to watch it as possible because, you know, accessibility is the whole point of like making products in entertainment. Making what you want, making what you make accessible to people is kind of the point. Anyway, we have sent out all the tweets, and I even posted on my personal Facebook. I say it as if I don't do that every single time, but I do post on my personal Facebook. Somehow we gained a follower just now, but you know, the only thing I care about, guys, is the love of the game, the hustle. Yeah, but we got three YouTube subscribers or 4 YouTube subscribers, my bad, in the course of like, I want to say 7 days, which is pretty dope. My OBS didn't update for some reason, but hey, whatever. I'll survive. I will survive. Streamlabs, who has consistently disappointed me at certain points, also fixed the glitch that so I did the exit interview with Brooke Pryor, like I promised you guys, but because I had a combination of, I need to see something real quick because it looks like my camera's slightly out of focus, which of course annoys the fuck out of people who exist. No, it is not. It's just the way it's framed on that slide. Anyway, I recorded the exit interview for the Pittsburgh Steelers with Brooke Pryor, and then retroactively realized that while I had the desktop audio open to be recorded, my NDI source was also open. NDI is the I guess it is a setting that you use to record streams or pull streams from a Skype conversation into the actual show, which is what I use. Pretty much every other streamer uses it too. It works on Zoom and it works on Skype, so it allows for you to make external video chats a source that you can pull into your stream and place it there. It also records audio at the same time. I had them both going, so every time that Brooke talked or spoke, it echoed. So the whole interview, Brooke dropped some hot takes, like she had to do the mock draft for ESPN and she picked Sam Howell. And if you know anything about Brooke, she went to Brooke Pryor, the NFL Nation Pittsburgh Steelers reporter for ESPN. She actually went to University of North Carolina, which is where Sam Howell went, by the way. Not much of a judge when it comes to attractiveness of men. So if you are a person that's attracted to men, please tell me if you think Sam Howell is hot, because he looks kind of like a high schooler to me. And it may be because I'm 29, which makes me, like 7 years older than him or something like that. And maybe I'm coming from a place of ignorance. So somebody look up a picture of Sam Howell and tell me if he's hot. Because, you know, that is like, you guys ever seen that stupid study where they're like the attractiveness of quarterbacks has like a correlation to like how well they play. Not how well they play, but there's like a direct correlation between like position and attractiveness objectively, because and also it's really hard to sit here and not imagine that there's some kind of massive racial bias that comes with attractiveness, right? And I think they calculated like facial symmetry as a factor of attractiveness, which I don't, you know, I guess to a certain extent it makes sense, but people being like, oh man, she's really getting me going because her face looks exactly the same on both sides. Kind of hard. But to sit here and deny that humans don't like order and symmetry, who am I to deny? Because I'm a big proponent of the golden ratio when it comes to the attractiveness of women. Anyway, all right, maybe we should get the show started, especially since we are ready to get the show started and just rambling into a microphone. Let's get it going. Going live in 3. Well, we're already live, but you know, starting the show in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Boys and girls and everybody else in between, I'm Ashton Gene Lewis. This is the Broke Boy Sports Podcast, and you got it right. We are live on a Super Bowl Sunday because, well, life. Getting ready to do this one. We will not be going through the usual steps that we do on this show. I kind of mixed it up just a tad bit to, one, accelerate the show to make it possible for people to watch it before they start watching the Superb Owl and all that kind of jazz like that, but also to get some things that don't fit into the categories we normally utilize on this show. And we're going to start off, I can tell you this right now, we have best of the best, we have worst of the worst because, you know, life. We do not have nerd news this week. We have a segment that I made specifically for Super Bowl Sunday, and it is the top 4 illogical predictors of the Super Bowl winner that is going to be coming up. See, it's customized just for you, just for the people that I love the most. By the way, shout out to all of our previous subscribers. Also, shout out to our 4 new subscribers that we got within the past week who joined up and are now broke themselves. I'm just kidding. I probably need to come up with like a really dumb name to call people who listen to the show. I wouldn't call them brokies, but that would be kind of funny. Anyway, also, everybody should be, this is the one day where I actually support you posting. Well, no, I actually support people posting their food on the internet all the time because most of the time it looks delicious, but especially if you made it yourself, I support that. We are going to be talking about the Super Bowl. If you are in the chat, drop your predictions for who you think is going to win. Drop also what you're drinking and what you're eating. Also tell me the number of drinks you are in right now. Like how many drinks are you in? I'm currently at 0. I am 1 Mountain Dew Rise into the day, trying to make it 2 here, and hopefully it'll be 2 before the show is over with. We are going to do hydration breaks. We're going to do both of them, because we're, like I said before, the show is modified. So I got a top 4 for you. I tried to do a top 5, but I couldn't find one to fit into the top 5, so I cut it down to a top 4 of wildly weird things that help predict the winner of the Super Bowl. We got best of the best. We got a hydration break, worst of the worst. We're doing the Big Hurt segment, which is where we talk about injuries. We're doing the Big Hurt segment this week, and because it's a Super Bowl and we need to talk about injuries, that factors into things. That's important to people. And then we're also just going to do what's popping, where you guessed it, I'm going to talk about the NBA trade deadline for about 5 seconds, and then I will spend however much time I need to talk about the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, it's not that much time. I've for a long time, I've known who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, and I have my reasons why. It's pretty simple. If you listen to this show on a regular basis, you know good and goddamn well why I think that certain team is going to win the Super Bowl. But we will get to that when we get there, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, we need to move it along into a temporary hot subject, the newest segment on this show that will be a one-time only type event, maybe only for the Super Bowl every single year. But here are the top 4 predictors that are really weird for who's going to win the Super Bowl that I came up with. Here we go. We got Drake, White Power, we got Underdogs, and we got the Madden Bowl. So, number 1 on this list is Drake. If you're not familiar with this concept, Drake, the artist, yes, the actual artist, not like the college, not like the Drake the Conqueror from historical references and stuff like that. Drake has had a long history of picking people and then ruining their sporting careers because of his support of them. So, they like the instance, we had PSG, with Livin Kuwaza, who took a photo with Drake, and Drake gave him the thumbs up. If you know, Drake is was a part of Nike for a really, well, he was a part of Adidas, then he became a part of Nike or whatever. And then they lost their following match after that photo was taken with Drake, 5-1. And if you know anything about PSG, they typically don't get beaten. As a matter of fact, they are typically very, very good at beating the hell out of people 5-1. But they lost. It was the worst loss in PSG's history in 2 decades. The UFC fighter Conor McGregor lost his fight to Khabib Nurmagomedov after he took a photo with Drake. The Manchester City goal scorer Sergio Aguero met Drake and then missed a penalty kick in a Champions League game. Anthony Joshua posted a pic with Drake, seemingly poking fun at the Drake curse. But one thing you don't fuck with is superstition, ladies and gentlemen. He posted the photo and said that he's ready to break the curse, and then immediately lost to Anthony Ruiz Jr. If you're not familiar with him, yes, he is the guy who is a big fan of Snickers and actually got a Snickers deal out of, or was it Snickers or Oreos? He's a big fan. He's the regular looking guy who beat the behemoth giant looking man that is Anthony Anthony Joshua Jr. and basically set him down this really weird path of people questioning his toughness overall, which I was already kind of doing to begin with, but you got to be a certain level of tough to be a boxer like Anthony Joshua. Nonetheless, it was a major upset. I think it was like 10-1 the betting odds were. Anyway, the Alabama Crimson Tide, very familiar with the Drake curse because he screwed them out of 2 national championships, 2018 versus Clemson, and very recently, 2021, Drake bet, despite the fact that there was like a video of Drake at a club saying "Go Dogs," he bet money and then posted it on his Instagram story about make sure you run me my money after the game is over with. Roll Tide, which of course means that he bet on Alabama to win the national championship game. And I don't know if you guys heard this or not, they did not. They did not win the national championship game. Shout out to Drake for, 1, being consistent, and 1, just truly being a force of freaking nature, right? Like, that's a wild-ass streak to put yourself on, right? And he's actually tried to utilize it to curse other teams, like actively curse other teams so that they would lose in certain situations. But hey, I will point this out. Drake is very good friends with... Well, I guess, I don't know how good of friends. You know, people say they're good friends in public, but, like, talk to each other once a month when you're famous. You know, maybe that is the indicator of, like, being a good friend with somebody. You talk to them for, like, a month. Anyway, Drake is cool with OBJ. He bet on a player prop for OBJ to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, and apparently he bet a shit ton of Bitcoin on the money line for the Rams to win. So... If history does want to repeat itself, the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl based off of the Drake curse. And we're going to walk through these a little bit here, and we'll see how it all shakes out. So number 1 on my list, Drake, and these are not power ranked or anything like that. It's just a list. But 1, the curse of Drake goes in favor of the Bengals. White power. Yes, white power is a huge factor and a logical factor in selecting the Super Bowl winner. I will explain that. I love how it's just been sitting there for like 5 minutes. Anyway, when I say white power, I mean the winner of the Super Bowl typically wears the white uniforms in the Super Bowl. They've actually won 14 of the last 17. The team that wears the white jerseys has won 14 in the last 17, and there are only 3 teams to win a Super Bowl in the last 17 years that were not wearing a white jersey. It was the Packers with Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers and all those guys, the Philadelphia Eagles with the Philly Special, and the Kansas City Chiefs the first time they won the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. One thing I will point out, if you have not seen the uniforms for the teams here today for the Super Bowl, the Rams are wearing absolutely horrendous white jerseys. So yeah, let me double check because last time I checked, it was they were wearing the white jerseys with the blue pants, which is the worst combination of their dope uniform. I really wish they had just worn all blue. Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl uniform. By the way, if you're betting on the Gatorade bet, I've listened to Part of My Take I've been listening to Part of My Take regularly, and every Bengals player that has come on has said that they always drink orange Gatorade. So if you think the Bengals are going to win, there you go. What uniforms are the Rams wearing in the Super Bowl? I'm like 90% sure it's the white uniforms. Yep, it's the white uniforms. The shoulder pads have the shoulder pad area has like a blue stripe. They have the vertical stripes that go all the way around, blue stripes with the gold on the edge of it, and they're wearing the gold pants with it. It still looks horrible. They should really lean into the royal blue in their uniform. Number 3 on the list is underdogs. Yes, so there's a specific trend that this is pointed to. Shout out to Fansided for getting together like these weird numbers that actually bear out to make sense a little bit. Overall, in Super Bowl history, the favorite has won overwhelmingly, but in the last 10 years, somebody in the chat, yikes, Camille, dude, nice sweatshirt. I appreciate it. I actually bought this Rams shirt like 4 years ago when they changed from St. Louis to LA. So that was my deal, and I got it for like way cheaper than it actually should have been. Anyway, Overall, Super Bowl history, the favorite has been victorious, but lately in the last like 12 years, the underdog has won overwhelmingly. Like it's like 9 out of the last 12 Super Bowls, the betting underdog has won. Number 4 on the list, if you're not familiar with this, is actually one of the weirdest / coolest things that Madden does every single year, the Madden Bowl. And it's not like random people getting on Madden, which by the way, there are a lot of people who have been replicating this concept for years, right? They get like high-end gamers, they get famous people to go and play the Super Bowl on, or they run the simulation, right? Like you can sim any game that you want in Madden because Madden is at its heart a football simulator of the NFL, right? There's ways to like run the simulations. You can actually watch it. Some people will tell you that they've spent many a night high as hell watching Madden simulations or NBA simulations, especially during the lockdown of 2020 where people couldn't go anywhere and sports were canceled. They spent a lot of time watching those simulations. Nonetheless, Madden does an actual official simulation where they run 100, I think it's like 100 virtual games or something like that. You should go check it out on their website, but they post it on their Twitter account. It's actually pinned at the top. They kind of get creative in how they package it because they go into the game and record they go into the game and they record a bunch of like fake highlights that go along with what their score predictor said. And this year they actually got Marshawn Lynch to help them out a little bit. That's your media suggestion for this week. I'm not doing a segment for media suggestions, but that's your media suggestion. Go watch the Madden Bowl predictor because Marshawn Lynch, once again, Marshawn Lynch everywhere at all times, whenever, and hilarious in the process of doing it as well. They predicted the Bengals to win. They predicted the Bengals to win. So out of these 4 illogical Super Bowl winner predictors, 1 goes in favor of the LA Rams in it. As a person who's not superstitious, I'm just a little stitious, as a famous regional manager once said. I am not feeling great about that. But nonetheless, the only thing that goes in favor of the Rams is white power. Moving on. So we got best of the best, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, I build this show as the best and the worst that sports has to offer every single week. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you an amazing story that I found out about. Not only thanks to my friend Lynn, but also thanks to The Gist, which is a newsletter that I subscribe to. It's written by women. And it's pretty open and honest about it. Like they don't try and duck away from like the societal representation that is within sports and the effects that sports have on people. Because they've given me some great stories to read up on, especially with the Olympics around. It's so hard to catch all of the actual live action stuff that's going on because football's doing its thing, basketball's going on, and the Olympics. Like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, worst of the worst was the fact that the Olympics was coming up and it's a sports tsunami again. But nonetheless, we move on to best of the best, ladies and gents. A legend has been made officially. Erin Jackson, by the way, it's February, so she's at the peak of her powers. For Black History Month, and this is a huge part of Black history, Erin Jackson is a speed skater for Team USA, and as a matter of fact, she's the #1 speed skater in the world. And I feel like if you told her 6 years ago when she first started skating, and there's actually video of her struggling to ice skate from 6 years ago, and you would tell her she would become the #1 speed skater in the world and win the first ever Team USA medal for speed skating, which was gold in the 500 meter speed skating event, I think she would call bullshit on that. Anyway, shout out to her teammate Brittany Bow, who surrendered her spot on Team USA after Erin slipped up in the Olympic trials and could not earn a spot on Team USA because she didn't finish in the top 3 for the race. And Brittany bowed out to get to pave the way for the person who is leading the sport, and she was also the gold medal front runner for. Which, by the way, this is so weird, man. I get it. We need to open up spots for people to be able to earn spots on all these Olympic teams and stuff like that, but like there's got to be some benefit to being the #1 person at your sport in the non-Olympic years and not getting treated like you're just all the other athletes who are in your sport. Like there has to be some kind of benefit, because it makes no sense that Team USA almost lost out on a gold medal because the person who's been consistently the best at the sport in the world outside of the Olympics slips up in the Olympic trials, right? And I get it. It's sports. You're supposed to perform within the moment. You can't sit and let pieces of paper determine who the best in the game is. But nonetheless, we almost missed out on the gold medal if it wasn't for Brittany Bow, who, goddamn it, if there was ever a person who deserved another, like we had that situation where they split the gold medal at the during the Summer Olympics last year, which is wild to think about. But yeah, this is one of those great situations, man. Brittany Bow, shout out to her. She's the real MVP on this one. Erin Jackson got an opportunity and she went out there. She seized the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Dominated in the 500 meter speed skating event, brought home the gold medal for not only her but for America, and then on top of that for a black community, because if there's any ice skating, speed skating, anything that involves swimming, there's so many stereotypes that surround black people, and sad to say, actually some black people like legitimately buy into those things, right? Like there's some black people out there that are just like, oh, we black, we don't do that kind of stuff. And it's, as we mature as people, we realize those are just limitations that other people have placed on us, right? And thankfully, Erin Jackson didn't listen to the noise, because I'm sure she's heard it 1,000,001 times. Because the same people that are telling you, like, oh, black people don't ice skate, are the same ones that are cheering her on because she is black and ice skating and speed skating, right? Like, this is the same contradictory type stuff. But nonetheless, she believed in herself. A lot of people believed in her and helped her get to the point where she is now. And she went out there and she did the damn thing. Shout out to Erin Jackson for holding it down for everybody in the game. And also on top of that, what a perfect time to do such an amazing thing during February Black History Month. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to our next segment. If you're not familiar with the show, we do this thing called a hydration break. We don't judge all things that are liquid or considered forms of hydration on this show. I'm not here to make fun of anybody or anything like that. I sometimes indulge in some alcohol. Right now I'm about to indulge in some Mountain Dew Rise. Most of the time it's water, because usually when I'm doing this show I have to go to a practice like immediately after or whatever. But if you are a person that wants to indulge, especially since it is a Super Sunday, it's a religious holiday, ladies and gentlemen, you should be indulging. Best religious holiday out there in the game, because it inspires you to eat too much and drink too much. I'm about it. I love it. Anyway, also don't forget in the chat while we're during the hydration break, don't forget to tell me how many drinks you're in right now, what is on the menu for Super Bowl Sunday, and then on top of that, what else did I say? Oh, tell me who you think is going to win. We are going to, let's see, what song we want to listen to. What song? I like Closure so much. Let's go Humble Beliefs. Humble Beliefs. Let's do that. And we're back here live on the Broke Boys Sports Podcast. I'm still sending out tweets. Sorry, guys. Hold on a second. The life and times of, an influencer like myself. Also trying to figure out why when I post on Twitch, they do this weird thing where they show an episode of my podcast, but like I used just my handles. I used just my regular link. Like I used the regular link to my show, but it also went to like a specific episode. It was very strange. Let's see. Sorry. There, for some reason, the formatting has been completely screwed up for a tweet that I already tweeted out. I don't really get it. The internet's being weird today. Well, weirder. Nonetheless, we need to get back to the show, and that's what we're gonna do. Did the hydration break. Hopefully, you're well hydrated, lubricated, if you will. If that's what your goal was during the hydration break. We are going to be moving right along to our next segment. Worst of the worst, ladies and gentlemen. This is the worst thing I saw in sports this week. Shout out to, once again, somehow Antonio Brown, despite the fact that he is no longer in the NFL as of right now, has somehow found a way to become the center of attention yet again. And I just can't pass up on an opportunity to talk about an idiot like that. A person who has gotten more money, earned more money, far more successful, better athlete than I will ever be in my entire life. Somehow, some way, here we are back again talking about him, and this is interesting. So after the MetLife Stadium incident where Antonio Brown decided he was gonna quit his job like while he was on the clock and all that kind of stuff like that, so takes off his pads, throws his stuff into the crowd, which, by the way, if he he tries to sell it as if he did what was best for him, where he tries to sell it as if everybody was just trying to force him to do something that he didn't want to do, and Bruce Arians was like, you're intentionally not playing, get the fuck out of here, you're not welcomed on his team anymore. And the fact of the matter is there is an aspect of, if you go watch that video, him throwing his stuff into the crowd very much seems like trying to draw attention to himself. And then on top of that, the part where he like runs the back of the end zone and is like trying to pump up the road crowd, right? Kind of deal is very strange. But nonetheless, the MetLife Stadium incident that really went viral, globally viral. It has to be truly an iconic moment in all of NFL history that they wish had not happened. But nonetheless, somebody sold one of those gloves that Antonio Brown threw into the crowd. So we joked about it on this show about how somebody can you get that authenticated? Because if you, I guess it's inside baseball, if you ever go to a stadium and a player gives you something, there's a place that you can go to inside the arena to get it authenticated and get it verified that on this day in this stadium you got this piece of equipment and this is actually that football. It's not just some NFL football you were able to get your hands on and you were just like, oh, this is Tom Brady's 500 touchdown ball. It is 100%, 1,000%. They get it authenticated. I think somebody comes down to you or something like that, and they get it authenticated for you so that you can do whatever you want to do with this. So it's like for sure that, and people cannot forge it on the internet or anywhere else, right? That happens. I wonder if somebody went and got that glove authenticated, because that had to be pretty funny. Like if you're a Jets employee and you're like, hey, Antonio Brown threw his gloves or one of his gloves into the crowd, and I caught it. I would really like a plaque that confirms that this is Antonio Brown's glove. The company that they fenced it through, I say fenced even though like makes it seem like it's illegal, but it's not. Anyway, the company that they sold it through started the bidding at $81, which is of course Antonio Brown's number, and the price of it got up to $16,900 on the final sale. So shout out to everybody involved on that. Hopefully the person who sold it did not get hustled, get fleeced out of like a 50-50 deal, because they could have honestly gone somewhere else and they could have put it on the internet that they were like bidding for Antonio Brown's glove or whatever it may be. Maybe the company that they went through was the company that had to get it authenticated. Maybe that's what it was. But yeah, the final sale on Antonio Brown's glove is $16,900. The boost of Antonio Brown's ego, because if you listen to him, he is a superstar that everybody in the world knows and everybody is trying to be like at all times. And this is just another, like a glove that he doesn't even give a shit about, right? Like it's not like these are like his favorite set of gloves that he threw away into the crowd or anything like that. It's just another pair of gloves that he got randomly from the team, from his sponsorship with Nike and all that kind of jazz like that. So, or from his deals with Nike. Nonetheless, absolutely hilarious that this is a priceless boost to Antonio Brown's absolutely massive ego that could probably fit in about 10 MetLife stadiums at this point. My final question on this topic, I would like for somebody to ask Kanye West where he put Antonio Brown's glove in his house. Moving on, we go to the big hurt segment where we talk about the injuries that are coming off last week that are going to influence this week's game, today's game in particular for the Super Bowl. You got a couple of injuries that are on this list right now for the Bengals. The biggest one is C.J. Uzomah, who, if you didn't see during the pep rally, which by the way, yes, they legitimately had pep rallies for both teams at their home stadiums, which, you know, I'm assuming is going to become like a regular, normal thing for all of the teams. And for all of the teams that go to the Super Bowl, because I don't know, I've never rooted for a team that went to the Super Bowl, so I wouldn't know if there was a pep rally for every team that goes or not. But nonetheless, CJ Uzomah ripped off his knee brace during, like, legitimately wrestler style, coming out and ripping off his knee brace saying, "I'm not fucking leaving," basically, like from Wolf of Wall Street, and ripped it off, said he's going to play in the Super Bowl. If you listen to Pardon My Take or any other interviews that he's done, because he's been on the Greenlight podcast with Chris Long, or I said Chris Long, no, it's Chris Long, not Jake Long, Chris Long, and there's been a lot of conversation about he doesn't know what capacity he's going to be able to play yet, and of course he's being like real shifty about how well his knee is doing, which, you know, you should be. But he's the biggest injury that's on the list for sure. By the way, this is a good time to plug. The Bengals have their exit interview up, and I say to exit interview when in actuality I went and talked to John Sheeran from Cincy Jungle, which is the SB Nation blog. He's also one of the hosts for the Orange and Black Insider, which is the premier Cincinnati Bengals podcast group that they have, because they have like 3 different podcasts, and then there's the main podcast, the Orange and Black Insider. Definitely check it out. One of the podcasts is hosted by a puppet. I'm not even joking. And the puppet interviewed Mark Sanchez. So that being said, check it out. Check out that exit interview. Also check out anything that John does. It's really good. He's a diehard, long-term Bengals fan. And he's been around for a long time and really been embracing this moment, because he not only is from Cincinnati, been a Bengals fan his entire life, he also graduated from the University of Cincinnati, so he's been having one hell of a year as a fan, especially based off Cincinnati going to the playoffs. Both Cincinnati teams going to the playoffs, which is dope. Nonetheless, we talked about a bunch of things about how I don't think that the Bengals were built in the course of just 2 years, like a lot of people are saying, but the other people are really siding on that factor and all that kind of jazz like that. We talked about the preseason expectation for the Bengals based off of what the fans were saying, the regular season highs and lows, and what led to winning, to getting to the Super Bowl. And also, he dropped his prediction. Can you imagine who the guy that covers the Bengals for like a living predicted to win the Super Bowl? But I will point this out. He does have to write the story for the Super Bowl, and he says it's going to be posted probably before the game is over with, so that he can, if in case the Bengals do win, he can get to burning down the city like just with everybody else. So shout out to John. Check out that episode. It was a lot of fun. He said it was a lot of fun, and I'm just glad that a person who's like a real journalist had fun on my show. I appreciate it a lot. Anyway, the Rams, Tyler Higbee is officially out because of an MCL sprain, which is huge for the Rams because he is their number 1 tight end. He's actually the best tight end out of these 2 teams in this game. and it's not even really up for debate. Darrell Henderson Jr., Tyler Higbee's having a career year, and he's statistically better than CJ Uzomah, also deadlier red zone threat than CJ. I guess, well, not as deadly because he will not be playing, and CJ will in some capacity. Darrell Henderson Jr., the running back, will be returning, so all of the running backs will be back for the Rams, and I'm assuming they are trying to run the fuck out of this ball in the Super Bowl. Not just because Darrell Henderson Jr. is back, but like overall, that seems like the wise strategy, especially if the Bengals cannot stop them. So be mentally prepared for that. Cam Akers has already hurt 2 defensive backs in the playoffs with the impact of his shoulder into their chest. I'm dead serious. If you've been paying attention through the playoffs, he actually hurt Carlton Davis with one of his truck moves, and then he concussed somebody else from in the first round of the playoffs, which is wild to think about. But yeah, that's like a real thing. That's the big hurt. Those are the injuries that you should definitely be paying attention to. They're going to have a huge impact on this game. Also, they say that Sebastian Joseph Day, who is one of the big defensive tackles for the Rams, he's supposed to be coming back. We'll see in what capacity he's going to be playing. He's supposed to be coming off IR. We move on, ladies and gentlemen. We have one more hydration break, and when we come back, we will do the thing. We'll do the last thing, the last part of this show, where we talk about the game and break it down. I'm going to talk about the NBA trade deadline. There's literally one thing that I want to say about it, and then we will talk about football for the second to last time, because we're going to have to review the Super Bowl. But outside of the exit interviews, this is going to be the second to last time we talk about football on this podcast. I'll miss it dearly. Hopefully it comes back. New Beginnings by Christina Kukis, right here on the Broke Boys Sports Podcast for the hydration break. And we're back here for the live and final stretch of the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. This would be the last episode of the show in the spans of the NFL regular season. So it's gonna be something, guys. It's gonna be something. Let's do it. One last time. One last time. There you go. You gotta teach them how to say goodbye. Let's do it. But first, let's talk about the NBA. So if you didn't hear, James Harden got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. There's also a really funny photo of Daryl Morey and his the one true love of his life. If you are Daryl Morey's wife, you should be very concerned. Just want to put that out there. Ma'am. I'm sure you're a lovely lady. I just want to point out you should be very concerned about what's going on, the love affair between him and James Harden, which, by the way, if there's ever an NBA player to be in love with, it should be one with a killer, just absolute wet jump shot, right? But yeah, there's a bunch of funny stuff going on in general because, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so there's a photo going across the internet from Daryl Morey's Twitter account, which, by the way, out of all the NBA GMs, Daryl Morey is hands down the busiest that's on the internet because he is constantly on the internet. There's no question about that whatsoever. He's always on the internet. The point that I was trying to make was there's a photo of them at the airport off of a private jet, and Richard Jefferson quote tweeted it and said, "The drive from Philly to New York is literally 90 minutes." And I was like, you really think people are catching a road trip to New York? You know what I mean? Like, first of all, driving in New York, it's probably better off that they flew anyway. And he's probably right. It is just a 90-minute drive, and you're probably going to spend 60 of that 90 minutes in New York traffic getting into trying to get out of New York to get to Philadelphia. So, but yeah, no, he's cracking a pretty funny joke, I will admit. Also, you can't drink while you're in the course of a road trip, but you can while you're on a private jet. Just putting it out there. But yeah, the trade happened. Ben Simmons is now a Brooklyn Net, along with Seth Curry, who I hands down believe is going to prove himself to be the most useful part of this trade that we have seen go down between these two teams. By the way, two teams that could be facing off against each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. If the bracket breaks the right way, remember the Nets are currently in a really bad spot as like an organization. They were on an 9-game losing streak, and then Kyrie Irving has kind of pieced it together. But remember, Kyrie can only play a certain amount of games. Also, find it hilarious. Speaking of trade deadline stuff, Justin Holiday got traded to the Kings, and funny part, Justin Holiday is an anti-vaxxer, so he's actually not legally allowed to play in Sacramento, because he's now on the Kings as opposed to being a visiting player into the state of California. So yeah, that's hilarious. It's just like, oh, you can't actually do your job, but you got traded to a place where you can't do your job. So good luck with that, I guess. I don't know how that's supposed to work financially, but if basically his personal beliefs are going to allow for him to be able to just get paid without having to play or anything like that, I don't see why you wouldn't do it. I haven't seen any update on that, and I probably should have checked it before I got onto the show. That's one of those stories that was just hilarious when when he got traded, but it was like a big deal, and I feel like a lot of people didn't talk about it. It was like an internet-only thing because it involves talking about anti-vax culture, and people hate doing that now because a lot of you guys are so soft mentally. You know, a lot of anti-vaxxers are really soft mentally. This is all I really got to say. I get it. People can have varying opinions, but, you know, inform yourselves. What else is I going to say? That's all I got about the NBA trade deadline. My question is Ben Simmons going to play? Has anybody confirmed if Ben Simmons is going to show up for work? Because I haven't seen anything that says that. And then on top of that, like, Ben Simmons is going through some stuff mentally right now, and hopefully, you know, he doesn't feel the pressure to play just because he's on a different team, and hopefully he can figure out how to get himself on the path to feeling better, not just because he's on a different team, but also just being able to cope with the fact that he is a person who has a ton of eyes on him at all time and will continue to for the rest of his life, mainly because that is the life of an NBA player. Even the NBA players that don't pan out have a ton of eyes on them, right? And Ben Simmons is in the midst of a very key time in his NBA career, not necessarily his life, because at the end of the day, like, he's got a lot of life to live even after this whole basketball thing is over with. But he is at a key point where he's now out of a situation that he requested out, and now he's got to perform like a person who has made this major ask of multiple people to make stuff happen, including of himself, right? He's asked himself to be put into a better environment for him mentally, and now he has to perform like he's doing better mentally, even though that's not how mental health works at all, because you can be feeling great and then also shooting 0 for 7 from the field, right? So many other things that weigh into it. But nonetheless, that's all I got. It's time. It's time, y'all. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the Super Bowl, the Superb Owl, the big game, the supers of the games, the superest of the games, the grand final, as some people would say. But let's talk about it. I have to ask, how many of you out there know definitively who you are gonna pick? And it's like 2 hours to a kickoff. I've known for as soon as the matchup was set. I've been saying that I was going to go with the Rams. You guys have heard on this podcast before. I've predicted. I called the upset. Well, not the upset. I called the first round victory for the Bengals. I understood that they were going to play a close game versus the Chiefs. I factually understand how good the Rams are and what limits the Rams. I understand that defense wins championships. I understand that pressure is king when it comes to playing defense. I understand that Joe Burrow has proven time and time again that pressure is not a factor for him in terms of dictating how successful that he can be. And that can go a lot of different directions for how this game is going to shake out. First of all, I'm extremely excited to watch this. I am super pumped to watch this game because one of these teams, it doesn't make sense how they got here. And one of these teams had high expectations, increased those expectations in the course of the regular season, and now has gotten here and they're on the verge of making fuck them picks a viable mentality for general managers, even though it's been a mentality for a lot of different teams. A lot of teams have personal policies. I talked about it with Brooke Pryor in the exit interview that you guys aren't going to hear because of the sound quality situation. But we talked about how the Steelers just don't trade draft picks, how it was crazy when they traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick. It was ridiculous. Not ridiculous. It was insane for Steelers fans because the Steelers don't trade away draft picks ever. And there's teams that have different mentalities. And this is another philosophical approach that is going to be put to the absolute test because you have to wonder if the Rams lose this Super Bowl, where do you go from here? What else can you possibly upgrade? You have Odell Beckham Jr. on your team and he's your number 2 wide receiver. You had a wide receiver have the best season that a wide receiver has ever had in the NFL. You have a rookie wide receiver in Van Jefferson who's truly already broken into, in the playoffs. He was the best number 3 wide receiver in the playoffs. Every single round that they played. It makes you wonder, where else can the Rams go if they don't win this Super Bowl, right? The Bengals obviously have so many. Now, if you told me the Bengals just fall off completely because of the Super Bowl hangover and because a lot of the freak things that happened this season, like being able to overcome the worst offensive line that was in the playoffs every single round, or really every single round of the playoffs, combined with the fact that Joe Burrow is the most sacked quarterback to ever make it to the Super Bowl. He's the most sacked quarterback to ever win the AFC Championship game. And he's still been able to overcome it and still been able to be very successful. And I know and this is so weird because all the numbers and the math and the logic lies with the Rams and all the emotion lies with the Bengals. And that's what I love about sports. It's the true conflict of the things that make us love this, right? The game is not decided on paper, but the fact of the matter is, guess what? Von Miller and Aaron Donald, they are not just good on paper, baby. They are here. They are good all the time. Same thing with Leonard Floyd. Same thing with Ogubini Okoronkwo, who's very good as well. Same thing with Jalen Ramsey. They not just good on paper, baby. They out here and they real. They are real people. And on Sunday, a little bit later on, 2 hours from now, we're gonna find out, can Jalen Ramsey lock up one of the guy who's the second best wide receiver in the NFL this season behind his teammate Cooper Kupp. We're gonna find out how much Zach Taylor can scheme away going up against the best defense that was in the playoffs. We're gonna find out if Matthew Stafford cannot turn the ball over. We're going to find out if Joe Burrow can avoid getting absolutely annihilated, or can he survive getting annihilated for one more game. And that's all it takes. They just have to win this game. It's not like they need to win 7 more games after this to become Super Bowl champion. It's been bad the whole season. It's been bad the whole time leading up to this. which is the only reason I would have any trepidatious nature about it. The people who have, like really negative opinions overall of Matthew Stafford, I implore you to look at what he's done in the playoffs. Matthew Stafford's turned the ball over, twice or once in the playoffs so far. One of them was a dropped interception by Jakarshi Tart. But sometimes you get lucky. Playoff luck is like a real, or just like turnover luck is a real thing. I would also like to point out that the way that Matthew Stafford was playing leading into the playoffs is like day and night compared to the guy that we're seeing in these games. He came up with a clutch win versus Tom Brady. And don't let that escape this situation. Matthew Stafford is one of the clutchest quarterbacks in NFL history. We talked about this already, right? He's tied for third. Well, he's actually in standalone third place now because he's not tied at 42 game-winning drives. He's at 43 all by himself behind, I think it's Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Matthew Stafford, if this game comes down to it being close, these are two of the clutchest guys in the NFL that are going to be going toe-to-toe, and one of them is way more equipped in terms of teammates to go out there and make stuff happen at the quarterback position. I expect a ton of running, hands down, a ton of running from the Rams up front, mainly because the D-line for the Bengals has been relatively thin. They've lost two of their best defensive tackles in back-to-back rounds of the playoffs. DJ Reader is one of the best run stoppers in the NFL, just hands down, flat out, and especially for the Bengals up front. And it takes pressure off of Matthew Stafford. And a Matthew Stafford without pressure on him kills 90% of teams, 99% of teams. Because it's impossible to play perfect defense 100% of the time in the NFL. Just facts. Combine that with the fact that Cooper Kupp is a real person. And the quality of and the Bengals defense has been on point. First half, second half. This is the most complete team that the Bengals have played in the playoffs. The Raiders are a team that plays really well in the second half. The Raiders really kind of mirror a lot of what the Bengals did this season, in the sense of when the second half rolled around is when they played their best football. And a lot of the times, you saw that versus the Chargers, you saw them do that versus the Bengals, where they were literally on a game-winning drive until Jermaine Pratt picked off Derek Carr. They had some clutch defensive plays that kept them in a lot of games. They played the Titans. The Titans were one of the best pressure-generating teams in the NFL. They got a shit ton of sacks. Jeffrey Simmons up the gut got a ton of. If Jeffrey Simmons did that to Joe Burrow in the first round of the playoffs, man, I can't imagine what Aaron Donald's about to do tonight. If there was ever a time and place where a defensive player should win Super Bowl MVP, I think everybody would love it. It would make everybody's heart happy if Aaron Donald went out there and made it without question that he should be MVP for the Super Bowl. Because I feel and this is actually one of the best parts about what we've been dealing with so far. I feel me personally, I've never seen a defensive player, media-wise, people pushing a defensive player like they push Aaron Donald. And I love to see that, because it could be a lot of people are getting lazy and they're focusing on Joe Burrow. A lot of the stories I've seen are written about Joe Burrow and where he's from and all this kind of stuff like that. And a lot of stuff is written about Matthew Stafford. But the people who are actually watching football on a regular basis are Aaron Donald being in this position again. Second Super Bowl, don't forget that part. Second Super Bowl, he wins this one. He could go down as one of the greatest ever at the defensive tackle position. Well, he's already going to go down as the greatest defensive tackle that's ever played the game, right? That's just facts. It's a wrap on that. He's been all pro 8 of his first 9 years in the NFL. And basically he should have been 9 out of 9, but life gets us all. Nonetheless, this is going to be a huge night for a lot of players that are on this team. Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be a huge night for him. Cooper Kupp, huge night for him. And of course, it's a major night for a lot of players that are going to be competing in the Super Bowl. Every single player competing in the Super Bowl with a chance to win a championship. But some of these guys, in terms of their long-standing history and legacy in the NFL, is not on the line, but has a chance to transcend to a level that cannot be reached without winning the Super Bowl. So this is huge. This is massive. I can't wait, man. I'm banking on the Rams to win this one. They're the more complete team. I think, for whatever you have to say about Sean McVay's clock management and stuff like that, their team is just too talented. And honestly, in my heart of hearts, I feel I feel like they're about to run away with this game. I feel like the Rams are going to get off to the hot start, and then the Bengals come back in the second half like they have all season. The question is the comeback going to be enough? Because we've already seen somebody attempt to come back versus the Rams and get get beat down on the last drive. Like two key passes by Cooper Kupp, tactical error by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to blitz Matthew Stafford and use pressure to try and make him make a poor decision, and it's just not going to happen, man. I can't wait to watch Jalen Ramsey versus Jamar Chase. That's going to be a ton of fun. Hopefully, once again, that's one of the pay-per-view cameras I would pay for, right? Like, if there was a camera and it was just the ISO of, like, Jalen Ramsey, Jamar Chase lined up on each other, and hopefully, they give us what we want, man. Like, hopefully the coaches give us what we want, best on best, every single opportunity. Also, like, Aaron Donald could be on the verge of inventing a new pass rush move tonight. I don't know what it's going to be, but if there was ever a person who could do something absurd in the Super Bowl to find a way to get to a quarterback, it would be Aaron Donald. Keeping it short and sweet, I'm picking the Rams to win. I can't wait to see this game. And sometimes I talk about it on the show all the time, guys. Sometimes you just got to sit back and watch something amazing. Make sure you have fun tonight. It's the last game of the NFL season. Make sure you have fun tonight. Don't, regardless of especially if you got nothing on the line, even if you got money on the line, make sure you have fun tonight, guys. That's what tonight is about. Enjoy it. It's going to be like a whole year, bro. It's going to be, months before we see more NFL football. Enjoy the final game of the season. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Hit me up on Twitter at FB_playbook at the Ashton J. Check out the podcast Twitter account at BrokeBoyPod. Make sure you drink safely. Don't drive. Don't drink and drive safely. Just drink safely. Stay at home. Call a cab. Whatever you got to do, call an Uber. Make sure you wash your hands, wash your ass. If you have the ability to shower and take a full shower and shower your entire body, please take that. Please do that for us, for everybody. And also, don't be coughing on people. All right, I'm out. Go home, Roger.